important items before we begin. I'd like to thank our partner Pal for providing the scoring technology for this event. We'd also like to thank our other PBA LBC registered product companies. We ask that you support them when looking for bowling equipment and accessories. And don't forget to visit our merchandise booth, staffed by our official merchandise partner, H5G. They are located behind lanes 15 and 16. Also, if you need any pro shop services, please visit our partners, CTV, Creating the Difference, who are staffing the pro shops at the high end of the house. If you haven't entered brackets as well as doubles and teams, this is your last chance to do so. Entries for doubles and teams will close once the competition on this squad begins. Lastly, don't forget to get your official PBA LBC photo in the photo booth behind ring 33 prior to the start of competition. Once we begin, if you need a score correction or any assistance at all, please contact the scoring monitor or see us up here at center desk. After you finish your 6 games, please bring your completed score sheet back to the tournament office. The yellow copy is yours to keep. All leaderboards are updated after each squad and available on PBA.com. And since this is the last squad, we will be going through all the scores, mainly the handicap division, and over the next 2 weeks we will post the final standings. So be on the lookout for that. Okay, bowlers, before we start, I want to recognize a couple special guests on today's squad. So, down on lane 29, we have a PBA Tour Exempt player who finished 6th in the PBA Illinois Classic right here at Bolero Vernon Hill. From Mesquite, Pennsylvania, Hayden Tippett. On lane 28, a PBA Exempt player who has 3 PBA Tour titles and 4 top finishes just this season. And he's a current guest speaker on everyone's favorite YouTube channel, US Demo Bowling Breakdown. From Rochester, New York, Jason Sterner.
And good morning from Bolero Mount Prospect for the final squad of the 2025 PBA LBC National Championships. Good morning, everybody. I'm $2 Phil Brilo taking you through this sold-out squad. We'll give you the review of everyone bowling on this squad along with our current leaders in all 8 divisions. And all 8 divisions still up for grabs today as we have participants in every division this morning. Suddenly turned into a rave here at Bolero Mount Prospect. They always have a little music on for the bowlers during the competition. And start off a little loud this morning. Get that fixed up. As in every previous squad, it's a fresh application of the 42-foot PBA LBC National Championships pattern. .25 milliliters in the pattern. About a 4.5 to 1 ratio inside to outside. And definitely playable from many angles on the lane for both the left-handers and right-handers. Couple of big amateur names on the squad today, along with 4 PBA exempt field players. We'll introduce you to those players momentarily, as these players are all in the middle of their 10 minutes of practice. And remember, if you're watching us on PBA YouTube, you can choose any of the pair feeds in the description below the video that you're watching. If you're watching it full screen on your laptop or your desktop, minimize that big video that you're watching, get to see that description, open it up, and you'll see all the pair feeds. Right-click on one of those pair feeds, open up in a new tab, because what a lot of people have done the entire run of this event is they have kept this on here in the main feed, because we follow some of the big names, follow some of the big scores, follow when somebody's trying to chase down their dream of winning a mini Duke for a perfect game, follow possible leaders, and then they watch their favorite players. They go across the 32 lanes and play here at Bolero Mount Prospect. So there you see coming into your picture some of the players that are PBA exempt that are on this squad. There you see Kyle Sherman on your left, getting ready to bowl on 23 and 24. PBA Hall of Famer Bill O'Neill on 25 and 6. Getting ready to take care of business as well. All the PBA exempt players trying to take down that 15-18 total that Andrew Anderson put up a couple of Sundays ago, as they try to win their spot into the PBA LBC National Championships clash. And as we get over 27 through 30, 27 and 28, got Flash. Jason Sterner bowling with his wife, Heather. Good to see Heather on the lanes as always. Good to see Flash on the lanes as well. And over on 29-30, the man who led the PBA Tour Trials in 2024. He's had some success in this building, finishing 8th place in 2024 at the PBA Illinois Open. That was held here at Bolero Mount Prospect. Hayden Stipich, the lefty out of New York State, bowling on 29 and 30. Thanks, everybody, joining us in the chat. Thanks, everybody, for being with us the entire run of the PBA LBC National Championships. For many of you, Robin Morrison, good to see you again from South Africa. Andrew Delgado. You're going to get half of Brad and Kyle today. Unfortunately, Brad Miller not here today. Don't have full details on why the change in plans for Mr. Miller, but Brad not bowling today, late scratch. So you'll have to cheer on the better looking half of Brad and Kyle with Kyle Sherman. So once again, all pairs in play that we've used in the tournament, all 32 lanes. 1 and 2 not in play, 35 and 36 not in play. Let's see, Green Machine. Minus 1,200 means really that they didn't bowl. They either no-showed or they haven't rescheduled the bowl yet. A PBA plus-minus scoring, 200's par. So if you have 0, it's a minus 200 per game. Multiply it by the 6 games of competition, and there you have your minus 1,200. So it just means the bowler did not show for their scheduled squad time, whether they had travel issues or what may have happened, and they did not reschedule their squad. They're simply given the minus 1,200 as a no-show, as no score was recorded. Just under 2 minutes left, and we will get underway with player introductions for everyone on this squad once practice is completed. Green Machine, yeah, I would say in the Open Classic division, looks like about 52, maybe 53, depending on the final entry count. It is a 1 in 8 cashing ratio overall in each division, and it does not round. So if there was 47 entries in a division, it would still pay 5 spots. You have to get to the full 8th entry in order for a additional spot to be paid. Practice now completed. We'll wait for the final announcements from Neil Stremmel, and we will be underway with player introductions here from Bolero Mount Prospect. I'm $2 Phil Brylo. Thanks, everybody, for joining us again today.
Practice is now complete. Before we get started, a reminder that when everyone on your pair is finished with each game, please make sure to hit the space bar to move your scores to the next pair. All right, everyone, let's give these competitors a nice round of applause. All right, for your final squad, good luck and good scoring.
All right, let's get you players introduced here on lanes 3 and 4. There you see Victoria White starting off the two-handed style we see so many young players using on the lanes nowadays. Victoria in the women's classic division. Connor Kovanda in the open classic division. Chet Stiles in the men's handicap division coming in at a 189 average. And Shelton Black in the men's handicap division coming in at 195. Over on 5 and 6, Chris Tavano in the men's handicap division at a 200 average. Jordan Johnson in the men's handicap division coming in at 202. Dominique Bryant in the women's handicap division at a 184 average. And Melvin McEntee in the men's handicap division at a 201 pace. Let's take you over to 7 through 10. Introduce you to the players on these two pairs. You see Zach Lance, Michael Wilshire, Brandon Unsold, and David Brandt. Lance comes high. Looks to be racing away from that split. Nothing? Racing away from that split? Nothing? Okay, I get it. That's fine. Ignore me. Everybody say hi to my PA Rogue. Once again, it's her last day on the event too, so she's been a great help all event long. We'll talk to her a little bit later on in this block, get her feelings about what she's seen here at the LBC National Championships in this third edition. Next year's edition, I'm sure that announcement will be made by the PBA shortly. Zach Lance in the Open Classic division. Michael Wilshire in the men's handicap division. Brendan Unseld in the men's handicap division. And David Brandt in the men's handicap division as well, coming in at 187 for the verified average. Carla Alsgood, John Coelho, Quentin Mayberry, Judy Higgs, your players on 9 and 10. Alsgood in the women's handicap division at a 127 average. Coelho in the senior classic division. Mayberry in the senior classic division, and Higgs in the women's handicap division coming in at a 133 average. John, yeah, thanks for the reminder for everybody in the chat. I will be on my way home this evening, but the DVR is set for CBS Sports Network. – 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. And don't fret. I know a lot of people don't have CBS Sports Network, but I know in a lot of cases the PWBA gets a copy of the event and turns around within about 48 hours and gets it out on YouTube. So you'll still have your chance to watch, even if you don't have CBS Sports Network. It'll be on the Sport of Bowling, most likely on the Sport of Bowling YouTube channel. I don't remember off the top of my head if they just posted there. Or if they've been posting them to the PWBA Facebook page as well. Yeah, just to the well, it looks like just to the PWBA page for at least the last couple of events. But I also don't see the Queens on there. Yeah, don't see the Queens telecast, so you may have to do a search for it. But they have all the Bowl TV finals for the PWBA on that page as well. But yeah, best of luck to all the finalists. I know there's a Verity Crowley fan in there. I know I've seen a few Rocio Restrepo's. Not a lot of Nora Johansson's, but Nora, the first two-handed player to make a PWBA finals on television. And Zach likes that shot a lot better than the first time on that lane as he takes all 10 back. Let's get you to 11 through 14. Jennifer Sickler, Kevin Sickler, Dylan Schmidt, Rutledge Davis, your players on 11 and 12. Jennifer Sickler in the women's handicap division coming in at a 168 average. Kevin bowling in the open classic division. Dylan Schmidt in the men's handicap division coming in at 201. And Rutledge Davis in the senior classic division. Over on 13 and 14, Leilani Morales, Frank Taylor, Louis Jerkovich, and Nicole Johnson. Morales in the women's handicap division coming in at a 113 average. Frank Taylor in the men's handicap division coming in at, well, he's at 224, so he's basically bowling that division scratch, as it's only handicapped off of 200. Jerkovich in the men's handicap division coming in at 201, and Nicole Johnson in the women's handicap division coming in at 170. Let's get you over to 15 through 18. Moses Bug, Renee Alejandro, Mackenzie Matisse, who's on Team USA, and Ralph Acosta, your players on 15 and 16 to start. Moses Bug in the men's handicap division at 208. Matisse in the women's classic division. Alejandro in the men's handicap division coming in at a 182 average, and Acosta in the men's handicap division coming in at 167. Over on 17-18, Deshaun Hawthorne, Deron Payne, Kendall Hawthorne, and Abby Craig, your players there. Hawthorne of the Deshaun variety in the men's handicap division. Hawthorne of the Kendall variety in the women's handicap division, coming in at a 184 average. Payne coming in the men's handicap division at 207. And Abby Craig in the girls' junior handicap division coming in at 192. Let's get you over to 19 through 22, 19 and 20. Daniel Storto, Michael Norflet, Angela Griffin, Michael Stout, your players. Storto in the senior classic division. Norflet in the open classic division. Griffin in the women's handicap division at a 175 average. And Stout in the senior classic division. Over on 21 and 22, Gerald Knowles, Billy Hendrickson, David Matheny, Jackson Curtis. Knowles in the senior classic division. Hendrickson in the senior classic division. Matheny in the senior classic division. And Curtis in the men's handicap division. Over on 23 and 20, oh, that's 19 and 20, 21 and 22. Let's get you over to our PBA exempt players that are on 23 and 25, 23 and 24. As we said, Brad Miller late scratch. So we have Elba Garcia, Kyle Sherman, Ted Vargas. Obviously Sherman in the PBA exempt division. Garcia in the women's handicap division coming in at 159, and Vargas in the senior classic division. Next door on 25 and 26, late scratch with Ivan Rodriguez. We have PBA Hall of Famer Bill O'Neill bowling with Gerald Hagan and Jalen Hagan. Hagan of the Jalen variety bowling in the men's handicap division at 207 average. Hagan of the Jared variety with 204 for the entering average. Solid start for Sherman as he's trying to chase down that 15-18 leading total. Of Andrew Anderson for the PBA exempt players. You see Bill O'Neill making a ball change as O'Neill working off 2 opens in his last 4 frames. Started with a 3-bagger and it's rapidly receded since then. Great cover, great reaction by Garcia. And O'Neill, wrap 10. Maybe another ball change on the way. There you see on 29-30, Hayden Stipich, PBA exempt player. Stepping up on lane 28, you're going to see Jason Sterner. As Stipich off to a nice start. Strike spare 4-bagger. Sterner looking to bounce back. Get that double out to a turkey after an open frame in the 4th, and a little reverse messenger there. That was kind of interesting. Pin didn't even get all the way over the sideboard and just started coming all the way back, so I don't think that was a head pin. That was something projected over by the head pin. And the former Heather D'Erica, now Heather Sterner, they're celebrating. They just celebrated the first birthday of their young baby girl. The Sterners bowling with Ryan Asper and Andrew Blom. Blom in the men's handicap division at 205. Asper in the men's handicap division at that same 205 average. Next door, bowling with Stipich. Tony Mano, Ed Jamry, and James Gutierrez. As Heather Sterner off to a great start. She's in the women's classic division. Gutierrez in the open classic division on 29.30. Tony Mano in the open classic division, and Ed Jamry in the men's handicap division at 185. So a new number on top of the women's classic division after yesterday, as Stephanie Zavala put up a plus 220 total, or 1420. For her 6-game effort to take over that division lead with this final squad remaining. And all the open classic division bowlers shooting for the 1523 that was put up by Weston Griffin a few weeks back on that special Tuesday evening PBA Junior World Series of Bowling squad. Stipich, Sterner, O'Neill, and Sherman all going after the 15-18 of Adner Anderson. And Stipich off to a quality start. Let's take you over to our final pairings. Lanes 31 through 34. On 31-32, it's Jacob Taylor, Kenneth Davis, Michael Tripp, and Alexander Davis. Davis of the Alexander variety in the open classic division. Davis of the Kenneth variety in the men's handicap division at 183. Jacob Taylor in the men's handicap division, entering average listed as 190. Michael Tripp in the men's handicap division as well, average to be verified. Then over on 33 and 34, Andrew Macholi. Pardon me, let's try it again. Andrew Maxioli, Fernando Diaz, Matthew Matoli, and Michael McConnell. Massioli in the men's handicap division, 167 average. Diaz in the men's handicap division, 191. Matoli in the men's handicap division with a 198 entering average. And McConnell in the senior classic division. So the senior classic division, that's that total put up by Chris Barnes on that special PBA 50 squad that was held on a Friday afternoon 3 weeks ago. Chris Barnes with the 1438 score. That's setting the pace for senior classic. For the men's handicap division, a lot of players on these two pairs. Robert Morris has held the number one spot since week one with a 1502 total for men's handicap. Women's handicap, they're looking to shoot down the total put up last Sunday by Rose Tom at 1444. And for the girls junior handicap division, we do have a couple players in that today. Olivia Rogers put up a big total yesterday, 1551 with her handicap. The young lady from England came out of the gates, fired her lifetime high series of 699. And rode that momentum all the way to that leading total in girls junior handicap. Unofficially, your winner in boys junior handicap. As I said, all averages and handicap pins need to be fully verified before we announce the official winner. But right now, Cameron Witten in the number one spot at 1486. Unofficially, your boys junior handicap champion, pending full verification. Go back and take a peek in on Stipich as he continues to strike. Heather Sterner with a solid start as well, as she can still get to 257. We saw Stephanie Zavala yesterday start with 220 and just build on that all the way through. And Sterner mixes them up. So Sterner of the Heather variety setting the pace for the family right now. Kyle Sherman finished with 249 his opening game. Bill O'Neill can't find consistency to the pocket after his first 3 strikes. Ended at 190. So your player movement from game 1 to game 2. It's going to be skip a pair land on the second. So your players you saw down in 3 and 4 earlier, they're going to be moving down to 7 and 8. The players you see here on 27 and 28, they're going to 31 and 32. Hayden Stipich and company move over to 33 and 34. So game 2 of this 6-game squad, the final squad of the 2025 PBA National Championships, will roll on. I'm $2 Phil Brylo. Appreciate everybody that's watching this afternoon. By the end of the day today, we'll unofficially have 8 champions crowned and find out our 8 players that will be advancing to the PBA LBC National Championships Clash. Date and location to be announced soon. All right, as we enter game 2, we're going to stick with Stipich and Heather Sterner. So they're going to be on lanes 31 through 34. We'll get over there once they are underway. Taking a look in the chat here. South Dakota has 9 people, Green Machine, not 8. No, not I know it's a population of less than 1 million altogether. So, yeah, good luck to her tonight on the left side. Green Machine, yeah, if you don't have access to CBS Sports, like I said, I guarantee you if you do a search within 2 hours tonight of the PWBA 10th Anniversary Open, somebody will have an illegal copy up on YouTube that might be up for a day or so before it gets pulled down by the YouTube police, as it should be. Let's be honest. We all want our rights protected when it comes to intellectual property. But, yeah, you'll be able to find it on YouTube, I have no doubt. And then usually within a couple of days, I would hope that the USBC has rights to get that event out there. I know CBS Sports Network. I don't think they have a YouTube channel. Yeah, they have a CBS Sports channel, but they don't have a on YouTube. But they don't have a actual CBS Sports network. Yeah, CBS Sports HQ, so it's all talk show clips and stuff like that. And so yeah, hopefully the USBC/PWBA gets the rights to that and puts it on either the Sport of Bowling USBC YouTube channel or on the PWBA YouTube channel for those that don't have CBS Sports Network, because it's a unique event. I mean, for years the PBA had various types of arena finals, especially back in the early 2000s, for those of you out there old enough to remember that. I'm trying to remember if the last arena setting or non-bowling center setting for an event prior to today for the PWBA, I can't remember if it was the Dust Storm in Reno or if it was at Cowboys Stadium, AT&T Stadium, for the Women's U.S. Open that Leanne Barrett won. So somebody in the chat might have a better remembrance of that trivia than myself. Yeah, who can ever forget the Dust Bowl in downtown Reno? I think they literally had to throw those lanes away once they were done because of the friction and dust from the bowling balls. And they had to use polyester bowling balls because there was so much friction on the lanes, and even those almost hooked off the lane. It was definitely a unique experience for those finalists. And one I'm sure will never be repeated again. Stipich, hot hand, 279 game 1, looking to start with a double here. Oh, he's got the 6 down. Definitely playing a much more direct line than we've seen other lefties to this point. Heather Sterner gets the first frame mark. Sterner 237. That's right about the average that Stephanie Zavala had yesterday. Just under a 237 average for Zavala to get into the lead with her 14-20 total. Yeah, Green Machine. I know for the PBA and CBS Sports Network, and maybe they'll change for next year for having the finals uploaded to PBA YouTube within a week or so after they air on TV. Hopefully that'll be the case, because I know right now if you try looking for this year's PBA Tour Finals, it's not on the PBA YouTube channel because of the rights are retained by CBS Sports Network. But I guarantee you, if you search 2025 PBA Tour Finals on YouTube, you'll find some pirate copies out there if you want to go back and watch that great event from Steel City Bowl and Brews in Pennsylvania. Good friends of the show, Lee and Chris DeSant, proprietors of that center and of Bowler X. I want to take the time right now to thank a couple of special parties that affiliated with the LBC National Championships. One of those being H5G Brands, official merchandiser of the PBA. There's been a lot of T-shirts flying out the door today, memorabilia from the PBA LBC National Championships. If you missed getting here in person and want to get your own Norm Duke T-shirt from the LBC National Championships with the Duke Trophy on it, you can get those through h5gbrands.com. Want to thank Cassie Hanen, CEO of H5G Brands, and her wonderful husband, Stefan. Stefan, great supporter of the PBA. Pat Patterson Award winner for the Midwest region in 2024 for Stefan. And everything they do with the sport of bowling and everything they've done here at Bolero Mount Prospect to get PBA merchandise into the bowlers' hands. And we also want to thank Ron Hickland and Creating the Difference, as they've had a pop-up pro shop here. And Austin and the pro shop's done a great job for a lot of people, whether it's just grabbing an extra sanding pad or making some surface adjustments for some players. He's even drilled up a few bowling balls for visitors to the LBC National Championships. Thanks to Creating the Difference and Hickland, Ron Hickland, for all that. Let's see if Stipich can keep the hot hand here. Looking to get the Rob Stone pork product. And he does. And how about that for Heather Sterner? Just gets the 9 down. We saw that for Zavala yesterday. I mean, Zavala carries half the solid 9 she left through the day. She's at 1470 instead of 1420. She left more 9 pins than 10 pins yesterday. She had that bowling ball working. There you see Ed Janning wearing the Pearson Classic t-shirt, that of course being the sister tournament to the PBA LBC National Championships. It's the much older sister, as it's in its 115th edition this year. We might be ending here in Bolero Mount Prospect, but you can still bowl the Pearson Classic at Bolero Vernon Hills, about 15 minutes or so northeast of Bolero Mount Prospect, all the way through into Labor Day weekend. Oh, trust me, I dropped in a couple of years ago streaming a regional from Sussex Bowl. At the end of the regional, I dropped in a Steve just to see if he was paying attention. He was. He let me have it. Yeah, it's definitely Stefan. I've known Stefan for a long time. Oh, and first blemish on the scorecard for Stepich here. in game 2. His family's been in the bowling business in Milwaukee for decades. His grandfather, Jerry Stars, just turned 97, I believe. Jerry owned one of the first bowling centers in Milwaukee that put in automatic pin setters back in the day. And then Stefan's mom and dad both owned bowling centers as well. And now Stefan owns 2 centers with his lovely wife Cassie, and his stepsister is the managing partner in another bowling center in Waukesha, Sunset Bowl. I don't remember Jalen's married name now. She's recently married. But the Hainan family is still a bowling powerhouse in southeastern Wisconsin. Heather Sterner keeping it clean, surrounding that double with a couple of spares. Let's see, I wonder what the older people think about strings. Once people bowl on them, I think they get past any, I mean, 40 years ago, bowlers weren't going to bowl on synthetic lanes. They were going to quit. Synthetic lanes were an aberration in the game. Oh, how about that for Stippich? Tripped the 6 out from behind. And another quality toss. I bet you former proprietors probably really would have wished they invented strings 20 years ago, string pin setters. It's been tough for a long time to find qualified mechanics that can do, all the preventative maintenance that's needed on these older pin setters. If you ask a lot of bowling center owners that had to close during the pandemic and their machines weren't running every day, and when they were shut down for, weeks, if not months, not running the machines, not having the machines, all kinds of belts and drives and everything on them that need to have the lubrication or the proper tension go through them. Yeah, there are a lot of bowling center owners that, probably wish they would have had string pin setters coming out of the pandemic. Lots of problems with firing up those machines after they sat for a while. Parts breaking, belts breaking, motors overheating. Yeah, it wasn't pretty for a lot of them. And, it would be interesting to be a fly on the wall at Bowl Expo again this year. Just to see a number of proprietors that maybe went into the Cubica AMF booth, the Brunswick booth, a couple other companies that make string pin setters as well, and see how many of the older proprietors are looking at things. Bit unusual of the lack of drive there. That looked like a pretty flush shot to leave a 5-7 from Mr. Gutierrez. So I think once people bowl on, they get past their hatred. I mean, it might just come down to a dislike because it's not traditional, but I think a lot of people get past it. Let's see. Did Danielle McEwen scratch? Yeah, Danielle McEwen, not on the roster today. I know she had posted on social media that one of her pets was having health issues, and being an animal lover myself, yeah, it's definitely the pet over the bowling when that happens. Has Fox released average changes? Well, I guarantee you, if you talk to Stefan Hayden, the proprietor, he's going to tell you part of the average changes early in the year was not just the string pin setters, but there were lane pattern issues where you'd have to ask all the details. But I know he wasn't happy with his house patterns. And that's what's out there for leagues. He does have a challenge league one night a week. I'd go more off of what averages may have changed on that, particularly than any house type pattern, how it may have changed. But whether or not individual bowling centers or some of the manufacturers release any information like that, as D'Erico goes, hi, that's worst shot of the day for Heather Sterner to this point. Sorry, flashback to the maiden name. It would be interesting to see. On any average changes. But, hey, look at it this way. Even if your average went down bowling at a string pin center, you're not getting re-rated going into another bowling center or another tournament, that thing. So if you choose, I've always said that too, if you choose to bowl in a center that's tough, that might be old and beat up, you should be able to bowl other events using that average till you get your 15 games or 21 games in another center or in tournament competition, whatever it may be. I don't think you should be instantly re-rated. I mean, I know players that bowl at the Holler House in Milwaukee. 2 lanes in the basement, oldest sanctioned lanes. They oil by hand. You definitely don't have a block on the lanes with the oil pattern. There's been 2 300 games on those 2 lanes in the entirety of the 120 whatever years it's been there. So should they be re-rated because they go and bowl at a center where the lanes are going to be blocked and easier, that type of thing? Well, let them get a few games in. Stipich, he's got it rolling this morning. Chance to put up back-to-back 279 games for Stipich, and don't count Heather Sterner off pace as of yet. Let's look at the 249 here in game 2. And she's playing a very similar line, just a little tighter in the back part of the lane early on than we saw for Zavala yesterday. Zavala, once she got down the low end, she had him a little tighter in the low end, made her way across the house, and then as the lanes opened up and she finished up on the high end, yeah, she had a chance to wheel it a little bit her last couple of games. Let's check in on our other professionals here that are in the Elite Division. Kyle Sherman having a solid game. He'll be at 237. So he's pacing okay. 249 opening game. Bill O'Neill finished at 223. It's going to bring him back to pace a little bit, but still a lot of work to go. So we'll keep an eye on Sherman in game 3 as well, as Sherman's going to be moving over to 33 and 34. They're going to skip 2 pairs, land on the 3rd pair for their changes between games 2 and game 3. And there you go. 257 gets Kyle Sherman up to a plus 104 total. Brad was a late scratch. Wasn't given details, but Brad Miller not here this morning at Bolero Mount Prospect. So the Sterners and company, they're going to move down to lanes 5 and 6 for game 3. 7 and 8 will be the pair for Stipich and company. As Stipich looking for back-to-back 279s. He's just keeping it direct. Instead, a little more direct than we saw with some of the other lefties out here. And it looks like it's a ball change for Sterner recently. Just keeping the score sheet clean, just other than that double in the 2nd and 3rd. Can't pile on any strikes together at the moment. Green Machine, didn't Alpine Lanes replace their lane beds over the last couple of years? I know Foxview did this summer. Their lane beds there were 30 plus years old. That was another issue too. I mean, even though they're synthetic lanes, they get worn, they get tracked out, that type of thing. Tough to keep laying oil in certain parts of the lane that are worn and putting on other parts of the lane that aren't. That can affect how the lanes play as well. Sometimes that's the biggest problem on the PBA Tour, isn't how the oil pattern is, it's the trying to cover where the track is and how old some of these bowling center lane surfaces are. So 268 for Stipich in game 2. Leaves Stipich at plus 147. Solid start for the man from Western New York. As I mentioned earlier, he likes this building, top 8 finish back in 2024 when the Illinois Open was held here. Heather Sterner, let's look at the 229. Punching out in the 9th and 10th. Oh, 4 goes. How about the 9? Nope, just a wiggle. But still not losing too many pins to the pace set by Stephanie Zavala yesterday. So once again, players skipping 2 pairs, landing on the 3rd. These players moving down to the low end of Bolero Mount Prospect, and we will follow them. We'll also keep an eye on Kyle Sherman, as Sherman's going to be moving over to lanes 33 and 34 for his 3rd game. We'll follow the hot hands here in the main feed, but you can follow any one of the players on this squad through those pair feeds. Every pair in play covered. We've done it for the entire event. Why stop on the last day here at the PBA LBC National Championships? So just open up those pair feeds in the description of the video that you're watching now, and you'll be able to follow your favorite player the rest of the way through this PBA LBC National Championships final squad. Kyle Sherman starting off his third game of the 6-game block for the PBA LBC National Championships with a spare. We'll keep an eye on Sherman. We'll keep an eye on Hayden Stipich, as Stipich at plus 147 for his first 2 games. As Stipich heads down to lanes 7 and 8. And we'll keep an eye also on Heather Sterner. Sterner slowed down her pace a little bit here in game 2. But a couple decent games, and she can be right back on pace to try and knock off Stephanie Zavala's leading scorer. So Sherman with the strike in the second. Thanks to everybody joining us for this final squad of the 2025 PBA LBC National Championships. I'm $2 Phil Brylow taking you through the squad like I've taken you through every squad of this edition. Third time the PBA LBC National Championships has been held. First year was at Bolero Wauwatosa, years 2 and 3 here at Bolero Mount Prospect. And the announcement on everything for the PBA LBC National Championships Clash and for year 4 of the PBA LBC National Championships. That'll be announced over the next few weeks on the PBA website. Four exempt PBA players on this squad. Once again, as in previous editions of this event, all PBA exempt players have their own division in the event. So Kyle Sherman, Hayden Stipich, Bill O'Neill, and Jason Sterner all trying to knock off the 15-18 6-game total of Andrew Anderson. Give you the radio call on Stipich for his first 2 frames. Wiggly 10-pin on a light hit and a spare, and then a 7-pin and a spare down on 7 and 8 for Stipich. We'll get down to his shot in the third frame momentarily. If you have any other questions about the PBA LBC National Championships, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll try to get the answer for you. Or if we can't get you an answer, we'll fake it as best as possible. Sherman with 506 for his first 2 games. Not enough to pace on the squad against Hayden Stipich, as Stipich is at plus 147 for his first 2 games. 279, 268 for Stipich. And Stipich stepping up at the same time as Sherman. Sherman gets them all to go over to Stipich down to lane 7. Looking for his first strike of game 3. I don't want to say the 5 was the last pin to start falling, but you saw what I saw there for Stipich. Heather Sterner starts with a strike. Sterner a plus 45 after her first 2 games. A little work to go to catch up to the plus 220. Or 14-20. 6-game total of Stephanie Zavala yesterday. It's a neat message on social media from Stephanie today. She's happy she came down to bowl the LBC National Championships after her time in Green Bay. She fell just short of the cash number in that 10th anniversary classic. Could have let it get her down, just came down here, did some work, and she finds herself in the lead in the women's class division with this final squad to go. And people ask about this condition, what they need to do to score on it. At least from the leaders in the Open Classic, PBA Exempt, and women's class divisions. Just bring 1 or 2 bowling balls and make sure it's the right one in your hand. Once again, Stipich and Sherman stepping up at the same time. Who's going to fire first? Sherman first, looking for the 4-bagger. Gets it to go back over to Stipich. Stipich with a double. Question, can anyone join this tournament? Not anymore. Today's the last day. You can join it next year. Yeah, it's open to anybody. There's 8 divisions in this PBA LBC National Championship. So age, ability, you have your chance to bowl. If you're not a high-caliber bowler, if you're not out there averaging 220 or more, you can still enter in one of the handicap divisions, whether it's men's handicap, women's handicap, boys junior handicap, or girls junior handicap. There's also 3 divisions that bowl at a scratch basis in the Open Classic, Women's Classic, and Senior Classic divisions for those that are 50 years of age or better. And, of course, the PBA Exempt players, they have their own division here at the LBC National Championships, and each division winner will advance the PBA LBC National Championships clash date and host bowling facility will be announced over the next couple of weeks. Over to Kyle Sherman, looking to get that string out to 5 in a row. See that nice little flip twist on the bottom for Sherman, and yeah, the bowlers that seem to have been successful in this tournament are finding a way to get the 10 out. Just every once in a while, they're leaving 9s. We saw several for Stephanie Zavala yesterday. I remember when Weston Griffin bowled, he had a couple of 9 pins that prevented his score from being 1550 or 1560. Oh, that's the way to get the 8 out for Stipich. We just mentioned players with that excessive drive on the bowling ball. So I'm surprised Weston Griffin isn't in or his mom isn't in the chat yet today. I bet you they're watching. With $25,000 for the first place in the Open Classic division on the line, something tells me if they're not if they're watching, they're being quiet. And if they're not watching, somebody's watching for them and texting them updates. Remember last year, our eventual Open Classic Division champion, Mark Blaha, yeah, he was watching the live stream every weekend, checking in, seeing how people were doing, what numbers are getting put up against his. So, terrible break on the 7-10 there. For Ted Vargas. I know Kyle's got the rubber. He's got the variety of jerseys as well. I think maybe a little patriotic today with the red, white, and blue for Kyle Sherman. Not surprised for Stipich with the basic power black and white for his jersey. All right, Kyle making a move off that 9-pin. You just saw the little look down and the little foot shuffle. Let's see if it pays off. Yeah, and too light. He should have stayed where he was just because one lane changed a little bit. You're talking to players after they've been done here at Bolero Mound Prospect. Sometimes it's just one lane on the pair that fooled them. I remember talking to Patrick Dombrowski a couple of weeks ago after he had almost a Dutch 200 on a pair. He goes, yeah, lane fooled me. He goes, I had the one lane down, the other lane fooled me, and then made a couple of wrong moves on the lane that fooled me. So hopefully that doesn't snowball for Sherman. Because there's nothing more frustrating for a bowler than going strike, spare, strike, spare. Cover for Sherman, over to Stipich. 15:02 is still the leading handicap scorer. Robert Morris set that opening weekend of the tournament. So the corner pins that were troubling Stipich early have gone away. Somebody in the PBA social media department is not making friends today. If you've checked out the PBA's Instagram feed today, do it between games. You'll thank me for it later. I need to thank Rogue Foppy for showing me that here in the booth. Brad Miller, your guess is as good as mine. I was just told late scratch. No other information provided for Brad Miller. So we hope everything's okay for Brad, but yeah, no additional information provided on the scratch. So Sherman did bounce back with a strike in the 8th frame. Heather Sterner has started spare, spare, spare. We'll peek in on Sterner momentarily. Yeah, she's definitely has a small advantage over her husband in total pins. Flash Jason Sterner started 202.20. Not sure who's going to fire first here between Sterner and Stipich. Sterner waves Stipich up. There we go. Actually, before Stipich fires, here's foundation frame for Sherman. I bet you his feet moved back. No, maybe he didn't move the feet back right. Thought it was going to turn over harder. And there you go. For Stipich, he just keeps it rolling. Over to Heather Sterner, looking for her first strike of game 3. She gets them all. There's a member of the Save the Rake Club. No rake needed. No sweep needed on that shot as everything clears off. Well, we saw a 2-8-10 made yesterday by the young lady leading the the girls handicap division, Olivia Rogers. Not going to be made there by Kyle Sherman, and now he's looking at a max score in the 220s. And he's losing some ground to Hayden Stipich, and might take a decent recovery for Sherman. Might take one of those 800 series like we saw for Andrew Anderson or Weston Griffin, the only two 800 series during the event. And both those players had at least one 300 game during those 800 series. Of course, Weston Griffin having back-to-back 300 games in games 2 and 3 of his 6-game block a few weeks back. So we'll get back to Sherman looking to fire in the 10th frame. Can still get himself up to plus 132 for 3 games, but then he's looking at basically needing to fire 200 over. Or an 800 series for his last 3 to get past. And now he's definitely looking at 800 series to get past Andrew Anderson. And a 3.610 on this LBC National Championships condition has not exactly been a unremarkable spare. Seen a number of these. The biggest mistake players are making are sliding behind the 3-pin, not accounting for the extra lane conditioning on the outside of the lane on this LBC National Championships pattern. Sherman gets him to go. Let's see if Stipich can get this bad boy out to half dozen in a row. Remember, everybody, never take the lefty. They're too, confusing. So, never pick the lefty. So Stipich can get 200 over for his first 3. Never pick the lefty. A little inside joke here in the booth. Yeah, the lefties have struggled a bit this year. You saw Graham Fa put up the record-setting total of 1631 last year. Fa didn't even get the 1400 this year. It's been feast or famine. We had Justin Knowles with a decent block, but he had a game that he really got bit up on. So yeah, the PBA exempt lefties haven't been setting him on fire. We'll check in on Sherman's fill shot. So 216 for Sherman. Gets into plus 122. And we'll check in on Heather Sterner. Sterner did not get a double on the board in the 5th, another single pin. So kind of like what we saw yesterday at the end for Miranda Pattinson. Pattinson was right on pace with Zavala, but then had a rash of 9 counts in her final game and let not just Zavala get in the number 1 spot, but also not enough pins to get past Liz Johnson for 2nd for Pattinson. So Stipich can get to 826 for his first 3. If he can take him off here in the 9th and 10th frames. Just save the sweep club. Another member. No witnesses to that assault left on the deck. And Sterner just can't find a way to get all 10 down at the moment. She's not in trouble. She's leaving herself makeables. Just the issue is you got to string strikes in this event to take the lead. This isn't a U.S. Open grind-out type of score being out there. Oh my, and that's the first real trouble shot we've seen for Heather Sterner all day. I don't know if Stephanie Zavala is watching it all, but I'm sure there was just a little bit of an exhale there from Zavala if she is. As our good friend Randy Peterson said, every shot in the sport of bowling makes somebody happy. Doesn't necessarily have to be the person that throws that shot. So Stipich stepping up 10th frame. Looking to get to plus 226 for his first 3 games of this block. Oh, on the wrap 7. Can still get plus 200 for his first 3. Can still record an 800 series. That'll only be our 3rd of the event. As we mentioned earlier, Andrew Anderson with a series in the 820s last week to start, and 833 for Weston Griffin for his first 3 games when he bowled on that PBA Junior World Series of Bowling squad. Not the best of footwork there on the spare for Stipich, but he gets it done. And Stipich just needs 6 pins. 10's better than 6. So 805 for the first 3 games for Hayden Stipich. Andrew Anderson, somebody get him on the phone, tell him to watch the last 3 games to see if he's going to hold on for the LBC National Championships PBA Exempt Division lead. Our players here between game 3 and game 4 to make their move. They're going to skip a pair and land on the second. So Stipich going to go over to 11 and 12 for game 4. Sterners and company are going to move over to 9 and 10, and Kyle Sherman's going to make the big drop down to the pair. The Sterners are on here with 5 and 6, so we'll see if Kyle Sherman tries to look for a note or 2 from Jason Sterner and Heather Sterner. Sterner looking to pot the big game, though. He can get to 100 over for 3 if he strikes out. And of course, as soon as we mention something good happening to a bowler, it doesn't. You think I'd have a complex about that after 20 years of broadcasting bowling, but nope. Any feel of guilt I would have had left my body about 18 years ago. But I'm sure right now Jason Sterner would probably trade a couple of his strikes to his lovely bride, Heather, just to keep Heather in contention for the women's classic division. Yeah, without a big finish here for Heather, she's another player just like Kyle Sherman that's going to be looking at having to throw an 800 series for the last 3 to have a chance at a division lead. And that trouble. How about the 4? Nope, doesn't go. Yeah, now Heather looking at 2-0. So, yeah, she's looking at needing 780 for her last 3 to try to get in the women's classic division lead. So Stephanie Zavala might be breathing a little easier, but Andrew Anderson getting a little bit of a sweat in here as Hayden Stipich at plus 205. Stipich needs to average 238 for his last 3 games, so basically a 710 series or 720 series or so. just a 720, of course, would get Hayden Stipich into that PBA Exempt division lead. So we're going to give you a little audio intermission here. Like we said, these players skipping a pair, landing on the second. Sterners are going to 9 and 10. Stipich is on 11 and 12. We'll keep an eye on all those players momentarily. We're going to refresh our beverage here in the booth. Hope you get a chance to do the same. We'll be back with our final 3 games of PBA LBC National Championships competition for 2025 here from Bolero Mound Prospect momentarily. Yikes, not to finish the going back to the main name again. Come on, $2 Phil, you're better than that. Heather Sterner. Yeah. She'll need more than 800. Yikes, wheels coming off here at the end of game 3. Zavala breathing easier. Andrew Anderson, not so much. Let's get over to Stipich. Missed a single pin in the first frame. If you got any questions for Neil Stremmel, drop them in the chat. Neil usually joins us in Game 4. Stepich with the bounce back strike after missing that single pin. There you see the 805 total, or plus 205, as he tries to get past the plus 318 total of Andrew Anderson in that PBA exempt division. Anderson started with an 800 series for his first 3 games a couple Sundays ago. 277, 248, 300. And then Game 4, he got bit by that Game 4 bug we've seen a lot of players get bit by. Well, he could put up a 203, but a big finish at 253 and 237 has Andrew Anderson at that currently leading 15-18 total. Heather Sterner did open in the 10th frame for 159, so she's basically at plus 4 after 3, and yeah, she's going to need to shoot 817 for her last 3 to get past Stephanie Zavala. So Stipich keeps it rolling. Nice that he coordinates his bowling ball with his jersey. Basic black bowling ball, basic black on the jersey with a little white. And once again, joining us in the booth for the it's a sad moment. But here, joining us in the booth is our tournament director and the director of rules and equipment for the PBA, Neil Stremmel. And Neil, we've got one player making a chase down on Andrew Anderson here with Hayden Stipich. And notice that the bowling ball Stipich is using one of those urethane bowling balls. And for the PBA LBC National Championships, Hayden Stipich isn't tied into the PBA Tour rule on the urethane equipment, is he? He would be able to use if it was an older model bowling ball that was a 72 durometer, he'd be able to use it, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We use the PBA LBC bowling ball list, which, you know, pretty much anything is still on that list, and very similar to the USBC list that's out there. And the reason why is, you know, a couple of reasons. You know, I think I made the joke with you, you know, I'm not going to tell Edna, who bought her Burgundy Hammer in 1985, that she can't use it in league. It's the only ball she has, et cetera, et cetera. So right. We never banned any of those balls for league competition. And then this event, which is the LBC, the League Bowler Certification National Championships, I can't have Edna using a urethane ball and not allow other bowlers to use it. So we basically allow them to use anything that's on that LBC list. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yep. So I believe, and I haven't had a chance to look at it, we haven't obviously had a chance to check the serial number on that bowling ball yet, but Hayden will record that onto his score sheet just like he does at a PBA Tour event, as all these players on the squad are required to do. You put the last 4 digits of that serial number on there. You'd be able to tell then, looking at the serial number, of how old the bowling ball is, if it was more than 2 years old, or what the possible durometer reading could be, and take things from there. So,
correct. Yeah. So I see all those score sheets afterwards, and of course in the middle of, before, after, or in the middle, if I want to look at any ball, I just do. That's part of the rules, and I can just do that, and you know, it's not a problem. Hasn't been a problem.
Yeah, and if you want to see how Neil tests balls during a PBA Tour event, go back to one of the Neil Stremmel bowling breakdown videos. We actually taped it here back in 2024 during the Illinois Open. A.J. Johnson was your unwitting victim of the ball testing that day after he had some great success in the event. It was you do random checks on players on occasion. You pick a name out of a hat, and it was A.J.'s day, and you showed all the testing process that you do to make sure that all the PBA players are using fully compliant bowling balls. So, yeah, after we're done today, go back and search for the Neil Sturma bowling breakdown video for how they do the durometer checks and check if bowling balls are legal. Posted that video about a year ago, so you may have to go back in the archives a bit. But it's an interesting video. It's really neat to see what Neil goes through on the tour week in and week out to make sure everybody's using those compliant bowling balls and the competition stays even for all players involved.
Yeah, I think you even included me talking to AJ, so you can kind of hear like how I, approach them after they're done bowling. Hey, you've been randomly selected, congratulations. And then, hey, when you get a chance, bring them over here. I want to see your list. I want to see anything you threw today. And, and then the rest of the video is, going through the testing and how we go about doing that. And that's all by procedure, standard process. Do it the same way every time, whether I'm in the lab or out on the road. That's how we do it.
So I've been lucky enough to do a lot of those bowling breakdown videos behind the camera for Neil. And I got to ask you personally, what is your favorite bowling breakdown video that you've been able to do?
I'd have to try to re-look, but the first one that pops in my head is one that wasn't all that popular, didn't get a ton of views. It was at the beginning of this tournament. We did several with Norm Duke, and we did one, it's only like 2 minutes long, and it's just me asking Norm about practice. You get 10 minutes of practice. You're coming to a place maybe you've never been to or never bowled, or a pattern you never bowled on. How do you figure that out? What do you do for practice? And he had just some great pointers, and he said one thing in there that I had not heard before, not done before. It's kind of a small little thing, but I appreciate, he basically says, shoot a spare on your last ball of practice. And he goes, I don't want to start with 2 or 3 in a row and have that be my, 6th or 7th strike in a row, and I'm only getting credit for 2 or 3 in a row. He goes, so I'll shoot a spare, like a 10-pin or something, so that way if I'm throwing 5 or 6 in a row, I'm getting credit for all of those because it's part of the game, So I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny, but I could appreciate that because, a lot of times you throw a bunch of strikes in practice, and then even if you throw a couple to start with, it's in your head that you got a bunch in a row, but you only got 2 or 3 in a row up on the frame, so on the game. So, anyways, that's one of my favorite ones, and I think it only got a couple thousand views, and so I actually put it on a list. I'm like, let's re-release this one later, and we might do that because he had some other good pointers, and I think it's good for for bowlers before league, or tournaments, and anyways. So that was one of my favorites, and it wasn't all that popular with the viewers. So maybe I'm pushing my luck by saying let's re-release this. You guys might tell me once again, no, we don't like this.
Well, I mean, great advice. And another one of the Norm videos that was great advice, too, was before you even leave home, what do you do to get ready for coming to the LBC National Championships? And one of the things he said was try to get this bowling center. Since you have access to the pattern at pba.com/LBC tournament, get somebody to put out, if not the pattern, something very close. And the other thing Norm said is don't throw your favorite bowling ball. Throw other ones in your bag because you may find out all of a sudden your favorite bowling ball isn't the one that's going to work on this pattern. One of the other bowling balls that's not your favorite might be the best one in your hand, and all of a sudden, oh, look what happened. I threw, I have the right ball reaction, which is key to this game nowadays, whether you want to, whether you like that fact or not. If you don't have the right ball reaction on a pattern, you're not going to kick the 10s out and kick 9s out late and that type of thing. So, I thought that was a great bit of advice by Norm, and that was one of my favorites as well. So,
yeah, he also said, maybe it is your favorite ball, maybe you'll use it for the first couple games, but this is 6 games, not like league, and you're probably going to need to be throwing different balls throughout the 6 games, and so be comfortable with more than just a couple of balls. Like bring your favorite, but bring a couple of different ones and be ready to use them and be comfortable and understand what they do. So, good advice. He's He's just got a lot of good thoughts and tips, and he comes at it from a different way than I'm used to. Oof. That was almost a 710 for Hayden.
That was
on a good
not
shot.
quite a smash 710, but pretty darn close.
Yeah.
So once again, he needs to average 238 for his last 3 games. Needs to shoot 724 to get past the 15-18, or 714. I'm sorry, to get past the 15-18 of Andrew Anderson.
Yeah.
And let's hope he doesn't let another single pin get away. That wasn't exactly a confidence builder right there.
Yeah.
So a question we didn't get to yesterday, and it was interesting on, is that somebody they were trying to hint that it wasn't direct. They were dancing around. What do you do to test bowling balls for the PBA? Do you do anything different than what the USBC might do when they approve a bowling ball to make sure it's PBA legal?
I don't. I mean, the procedure is very similar. I mean, I worked at USBC for 16 years, and that was my department, and I approved the first SOP on hardness testing, and several after that, SOP, standard operating procedure. So, in fact, we didn't have procedures when I went there. That was one of the things I did, was start implementing procedures to make sure we were doing the same tests, whether it's RG or hardness or whatever. You know, no matter who does it, we follow the same process and get more consistent results. Anyways, so I believe, again, I know that procedure. I believe we pretty much follow the same procedure.
Okay.
There's been a few things I've done different in my testing, like more of my research testing when I did testing on hardness of balls. So I rolled balls down stripped lanes. I rolled them on the approach where there's, I cleaned it with IPA, isopropyl alcohol, and rolled it on the approach. And so I cleaned the approach, cleaned the ramps, and rolled them on the approach to see any kind of changes straight out of the box. And I rolled them on dry lanes. Of course, there's going to be some oil inherent in the system on the belts, on the ball return, whatever, but it's very, very minimal, but that's also why I rolled them on the approach. And so, I looked at some different things. That's not part of the normal procedure of just testing hardness of bowling balls. That was just research to try to understand the new urethane and what was going on, a couple years ago. So, and I published all that. Like, if you want to read and see all that, I have 13 pages of data in there. If you want to read and go through that, feel free. It's all posted on PBA.com. And so I don't know if that fully answers the question, but I'm pretty sure, like, overall the general procedure of testing hardness, I think we all pretty much do it the same in the industry. I'm very meticulous, and I'm going to make sure I do it the same way every time. And I have 2 different durometers. One that's a lab durometer that pretty much doesn't leave the lab unless it's going to get calibrated, and then I have a travel one that I take on the road, and I used to leave it on the truck. Now I keep it with me so that I can just kind of make sure it doesn't get banged around. And the rest of the, this test stand and all the other components travel on the truck.
Okay.
But the actual handheld durometer that I would fit into the stand, I keep that with me to keep it safe.
Yeah. It's like any other scientific device. A lot of those devices aren't made for travel. aren't made for the rough and tumble of any type of shipping service. I'm not going to pick on any particular company.
I mean, I get the lane machines for this event or PBA, and they've been shipped, and they take a beating. And I mean, Phil, I know you saw when I started testing the lane machines here at the start of this tournament, and I'm like, all right, I need to get these ready to go. And it took me a little bit to get through the machines and get them working. But since then, like since that first day, like they've been fantastic. They've been great. We have Atlas machines, not Atlas Pros, but Kegel Atlas machines, and I love them. They're easy to work with. We have a mechanic Ed who's here, who pretty much oils the lanes every time. But I'm here. I'm double checking and watching and getting them out and filling them with oil and cleaner. You know, we use fire oil and Defense C, and that's, you know, just part of my nature. That's part of what I do. So I'm, you know, out there doing it, even if I'm dressed up. I'm out there emptying the cleaner tank and whatever it takes.
Let's see your question in the chat. I was wondering where the Griffith family was. I figured they were going to pop in a little earlier. Just saw the question here. Weston just finished junior gold practice. Checking in on how things are going in the Open Classic division. Must be his dad, Robert. I think you're doing pretty good there for Weston. I think that 15-23 total. Having somebody run down double-check scores. But the only bowlers I see over 700 for three is obviously Hayden Stipich here at 805, but he's in the PBA Exempt division. And then Kyle Sherman, 722, PBA Exempt, and a gentleman in the men's handicap division at 732, but that's Jackson Curtis. He's in the men's handicap division.
Yeah, and
nobody with big tons out there other than that.
And I had seen somebody that is in the women's handicap division. Carla Allsgood. She had a good start.
Pretty solid start.
But
okay. We'll picking on Carla shortly then.
Yeah, so that she's in a different division as well, and I know she had an injury. Like I kind of know her from years ago. She's in a part of the coaching program again back to when I was at USBC, and so that's another one we're just gonna. Right. As we always do with any handicap division, we're going to have to double check and pay attention to what's what.
Hayden Stipich just walking by the booth trying to see if there's any other colored bowling balls in that bag but black, and it didn't look like it. As Stipich usually they make that change
by now, yeah.
By now, but he's sticking with it for the second ball of the 10th, and then he'll probably get some info, change balls for the third ball.
Yeah, maybe it's just a different layout. Maybe he's just looking for it to, roll a little forward more. And, second ball in the 10th isn't necessarily the time to make that switch, but maybe he's checking that out now, or he's going to check it out on this next shot here probably. Yeah,
he's staying on pace on what he needs. As we said, he needs to average 238 for his last 3 games to take the lead. And he's going to shoot 237 this game with a full shot on the fill ball. Before he takes to the fill ball, let's take a peek in and see how Osgood did this game. So she shot 163, so that's 246 with her handicap. And she was already at 813 for her first 3 with handicap, so that's going to put her at plus 259.
With 2 games to go.
With 2 games to go, so that lead definitely in trouble for the women's handicap division, and that's been a lead that's been there for just a week with Rose Tom at 1444. So 813 and 246. We'll get the old magic calculator out here.
Yeah, so I just need to double check. Again, just like everybody, right. I know personally she had an injury, and so we'll have to evaluate that, double check that handicap. So
she's catching 83 pins a handicap a game.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yep. So she's going to need
part of it.
Yeah, she's going to need. If she bowls her average the last 2 games, she'll be just fine for taking over the lead in the women's handicap division in the last squad. Stipich 237. That moves him.
Yep, he's right on track. Yeah.
242 for 4, and that as we said, 318 over for Anderson. That leaves a plus 77 needed by Stipich to get by for 2 games. So you go 234, 234.
Yep.
And there's your plus 78. So good chance there. Hey, Neil, thanks for spending some time in the booth with us once again in Game 4. I'm going to miss these Game 4 chats coming up for the next couple of weekends. Come down to Bowling Green, Ohio with me in a couple of weekends for the PBA 50 regional stop down there. I'm live streaming. We can do it during we got 3 squads down there on Saturday. We can do it through.
Good luck with that. I'll be watching. I don't think I'll be down there.
Yeah. So, all right. Thanks, Neil, and we'll be back with Game 5 momentarily.
Take care.
So we're going to keep an eye on Hayden Stipich, obviously, in Game 5 here in the main feed. So Stipich going to be just moving right next door to 11 and 12. So all your players here between Game 4 and Game 5 simply just moving one pair to the right. And so we'll get the Sterners back in action here as well. Check in on them currently. Heather can still get to 254. Flash can get to 259. I mean, Flash can get himself into a cashing position in the PBA Exempt division, and Heather could still have a chance to cash as well. She need a couple of really huge games to get into the Women's Classic Division lead, but hey, it's bowling. Anything can happen with 2 games to go. So Kyle Sherman having a solid day. I mean, plus 167 after 4, averaging over 240, nothing to sneeze at. Problem is, he's trying to keep with a guy that's averaging 260 for 4. And not the start Sherman's looking for. And he'll have an eagle-eye view at Hayden Stipich. And Stipich will be bowling on. Lanes 13 and 14. Here in game 2, or pardon me, game 5. 2 games remaining, this game and the 6th and final game. Stipich already out to an opening frame strike. Robert Griffin, thanks. Yeah, appreciate the compliment on the coverage. Nice. I've had several people stop by the booth today that said they appreciated watching before they got here. That's the one of the great things about this PBA LBC National Championships. Sure, you get a chance to win the class. Sure, you get your chance for your fame and fortune. You can win a lot of prize money. But another thing that sets this event off from any other out there is that you get to watch every game, every frame, every lane, every round of competition on the PBA YouTube channel for free. So I know quite a few players said they were scouting out pairs. They've heard what pairs might be playing tough, what pairs might be a little easier. They said they got a lot of information opening weekend from Norm Duke when they were watching. So, yeah, it's probably helped a few players save a few pins. And it's probably provided a lot of people at home a little entertainment over the last 7 weekends. Once again, for those of you joining us late, Brad Miller late scratch today. There you see Kyle Sherman, second frame, and comes up light, still manages to carry. So you can choose any of the pair feeds in the description if you're watching on the main feed here. Open up the description underneath the video that you're watching. If you're full screen, minimize it for a second. Minimize the video part and go under that description. If you want to watch Kyle Sherman all game uninterrupted, I'd say right-click on that tab for lanes 7 through 10. Open it up in a new tab, and then keep us on here because we have a hot hand with Hayden Stipich that you're definitely going to want to keep an ear on as well, if not an eye. Stipich making a run towards the PBA Exempt division lead. Currently at 15-18, or a plus 318 score by Andrew Anderson. Jason Sterner coming back, had some troubles early on this round. It's up to plus 125, but he's going to need to pop a couple of big games to get a check in that PBA Exempt division. And Bill O'Neill hasn't been a great day for Bill. I know we haven't covered the Hall of Famer much here in the main feed, but I guarantee you that he's not missing that coverage at the moment. If you want to watch him, he's on the same feed that Kyle Sherman's on, 7 through 10. Oh, do you hear that in the distance? It sounds like the gobble of a turkey. And that turkey's getting closer, and that turkey's in the pen and on the scoreboard for Stipich. The opening 3-bagger. We got time. Let's take a peek in on Kyle Sherman. Oh, yeah, like I said, O'Neill's not having a good day. Surprised it didn't stand just to piss him off a little bit more. There you go for Kyle Sherman. Nice little double. PBA Exempt division, I think has a little different pay ratio than the other divisions just because it's for PBA Exempt players. But I'll just take a peek right now and just say Sherman's going to have to get in a 6th place or higher to get a check. 6th place currently is Kyle Troop at 1390. Kyle set that on the opening squad of the event. So plus 190 for Kyle Troop. Sherman stays solid. He's already at plus 167. Kyle with a solid finish will replace a Kyle in the leaderboard. Will replace a Troop with a Sherman. And Stipich, a little Rob Stone pork product for you. On the board to start game 5. There you see, oh, there was Kyle Sherman on the left side of your screen. There's your Hall of Famer, Bill O'Neill. All right, Bill carried one when I was on coverage with him, so it's not a full booth jinx. Once again, I gave up my guilt about booth jinxing a player 18 years ago. Oh, my. Wow. I'm impressed by that messenger there by Kyle Sherman. That was some quality work. That's pretty much the end of the road for the women's Classic Division lead. Possibility for Heather Sterner. She would have had to be pretty much perfect both games 5 and 6. And with that 4-pin, we can unofficially stick the women's Classic Division crown on Stephanie Zavala's head. I don't think she gets a crown, though. I know she'll get a trophy that's autographed by Norm Duke for winning her division. But right now, a couple divisions still with the chance for a new leader up in the air. We mentioned the women's handicap division a little while ago with Carla Osgood. UFL Osgood here in game 5. She's up on 25 and 26. Let's take a peek at her right now. She's coming back from an injury, as Neil Stremmel was talking to us about years ago. And sometimes when it's your day, you carry off some crossover strikes, that type of thing. You can get a solid game going. Let's get back to Stipich. He's got one X for each finger. Can we get the one for the thumb? Even though he doesn't use the thumb in his bowling ball. Oh. 2 more inches and life would be different for Hayden Stipich. So Stipich keeping it clean. You have to figure he knows the score to beat. He knew that coming in the door today on a beat the board tournament. I don't know anybody that doesn't look at the standings. I mean, he may have forgotten the exact number in his head. He might know the exact pinfall Andrew Anderson had. But what he does know now is he just wants to keep throwing strikes and be able to get into game 6 with a little breathing room on the score to shoot to take over the lead. Don't know if Stippich has made a ball change at any point in time today because everything in his bowling bag I saw him drag by was black. So we do know last game he did throw a different black bowling ball on his fill shot just to get a little added information. We'll take a peek back in on Kyle Sherman when he steps up in his 7th frame. Open 3-bagger, spare strike for Sherman, so he's maxing 257. Once again, get that this game, get us above 200 game 6, and Kyle Sherman will get himself a PBA exempt check. Obviously, no chance at the lead. Even if you were to run the next 18 in a row, he'd still be short by 1 pin against Andrew Anderson. Oh no, pardon me. He could have a non-strike on the fill ball and still get past Andrew Anderson in game 6, but he needs 16 more in a row. Once again, easy to talk about it. And we cut away from Bill O'Neill just in time, so no evidence of that single pin. And what happened to it? Stippich getting it going. I don't want to say he's putting up a Graham Fa-like round, as Fa did last year, averaging 272 for his 6 games of competition with taking on the PBA Exempt division title in 2024. But if Stippich can roll a bunch more out there, he can get close. He can get to 1,600. He just can't get to the Graham Fa total, as obviously 279 max this game, 300 last game. He'd fall about 10 pins short of that record total set by Graham Fa. Yeah, 6 games of competition for everyone that bowls on all the squads we've had for this event, Evan. And then it's a beat the board tournament, so whoever's high for their 6 games at the end of the event, which is this squad, they will take home their respective division championships and will be ranked for their visits to the PBA pay window. Well, they'll actually get checks, as it's an overall 1-8 payout. And wow, a huge break there for Stippich. That could have been 379 pretty easily. Just got enough for the 3 pin, and something got back to take the 9 down. So Stippich is definitely going to have his work cut out for him in game 6. It's just a matter of what score is going to be needed. If he can strike out here, get to 258, that would put him at an even 1,200, and then he would just, 1,300, and he would need a 219 game to get past Andrew Anderson. So striking out here in the 9th and 10th, pretty critical for Stippich's march towards that PBA exempt division lead. Let's check in on Kyle Sherman. 3-bagger on the board after that split conversion in the 5th. Can still get 257. And once again, put himself in pretty solid contention to get into the top 5 in the PBA Exempt division. Stu Williams, 1429, or a plus 229 total, is currently 5th. And it's not outside the possibility that, well, Sherman could have gotten himself into second place. Dombrowski, 1466, plus 266 for second place behind Anderson. But now, barring a miracle conversion, oh no, he got the 8 out, so it's just a 210. Can still get to 235 this game, can still get to 200 over, but we need a big game 6 to pass Dombrowski for second. And of course, everybody is watching Stipich start to track down Andrew Anderson. No luck on the bounce. So 223 max now for Sherman. That would leave him a plus 190 with 1 game remaining. And in a tie for Kyle Troop at the plus score of 190. So Stipich, let's see if he takes advantage of that break in the 8th frame where he barely tickled out the 9 pin out of a light hit, leaving just the 7. There we go, back flush in the pocket. Another member of the Save the Sweep Club. I get T-shirts made. I gotta get H5G brands on that. Dear H5G brands, we need a T-shirt for the PBA Save the Sweep Club. When you throw it so well, no pins remain on the deck. Saving that wear and tear on the sweep bar. Of course, if you blow on string pins, you're always saving the sweep because there's no sweep needed. Over to Kyle Sherman, 10th frame. Oh, are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? That was almost the cleanest pocket 7-9 I've ever seen out of a right-hander. Wow. That's going to leave Sherman at plus 180 with a conversion and a full ride out. So as we said, solid final game is going to be needed for Sherman. Try to get a check in that exempt division. Don't count Sterner out of it yet. Flash can get to 245 this game and give himself a chance on getting a check. Back to Sherman quick as he gets 8 on the fill ball, so make it plus 178. And, wow, Sherman, a couple of shots there. Could be the difference between getting a check and getting a thanks for playing note once the day is done. So if Stipich can punch out here, get himself to an even 300 over, he would just need 219 in Game 6 to pass Andrew Anderson. Stippich is going to be moving to 21 and 22. That pair hasn't been the friendliest of pairs for players. We get to the middle of the house, we've seen some players really get a bit of a struggle on like 15 through 22. Plays a little different, lots of open play. It's near the control counter in the center. We heard everything Norm Duke gave us for his scouting report opening weekend. And Flash, come on! Get back there, Flash. Oh, I thought we had ourselves a 7-10 there by Sterner. That pin came out firm out of the pit. Just didn't have the directionality necessary to get to the 7. Is directionality a word? Yeah, we'll look at the Webster's Dictionary once we're done today. Here we go. Stippich keep 258 alive. There you go. Still that chance for plus 300. And obviously there's no such thing as cruise control in Game 6 for Stippich. It's not going to change anything for him mentally. Even if he knows what score is needed, it's going to be let's pile on. And then once we know we have 219 pins in the bank, then you can relax a little bit because you know there's no squads left for you after today. So we're going to stick with Stippich in Game 6 here in the main feed. Once again, Stippich moving to 21 and 22. Oh, that silly 7-10 tried to stand the might. The onslaught that Hayden Stippich brought to the end of that lane. Do not mess with the man from Western New York. So we'll stick with Stippich down at 21 and 22. We'll take a little audio intermission here. As we are now getting into the 6th game of this block and the final game of the 2025 PBA LBC National Championships is set to roll here from Bolero Mount Prospect. And a 219 game is what's needed by Stippich to bump out Andrew Anderson at the top spot in the PBA Exempt division. Oh. There's only one story left here for the PBA LBC National Championships in 2025. Oh, there's actually two, but we have to verify averages and stuff in the women's handicap division for Carla Allsgoods. But we're going to stick here with Hayden Stipich. Yeah, Stipich needs a 219 game to pass Andrew Anderson for first place in the PBA Exempt division. Stipich at an even 1,300 total, plus 300 for his first 5 games, averaging 260 on the round. Even if he shoots 300 now, still falls short of the all-time record. Set by Graham Fa last year at 1631. And Stipich comes high, and well, if you're going to open a frame, open in the first. And we mentioned these middle pairs, 15 through 22 or so, have really messed with players as they've made their way in. And we'll see what kind of a move Stipich makes off of that when he goes back to lane 21. So get the one, move on for Stipich. Once again, 219's that target score. And joining me in the booth, young lady you've heard the voice a few times here during the round of the PBA LBC National Championships in 2025, Rogue Foppe. And Rogue, you've got a front row seat to Hayden Stipich today. What is the what's Stipich doing with the bowling ball that other left-handers didn't really have a lot of success with earlier in this event?
So from what I've seen so far, I have noticed he's been throwing the black hammer a lot. I don't know if he has multiple different layouts, if he changed the surface on it, what's going on, but he has just been keeping it very in front of him. A lot of the other lefties that we've seen have also been trying to throw the black hammer, but they've tried to swing it a little bit. And if anyone has known, you've bowled this event, the outside part of the lanes are way out of bounds. It's going to just hang out there. It's very rare that it'll come back, and if it does come back, it's not till game 5 or 6 when it's all been broken down. So being able to keep that urethane in front of him, and it probably does have a little bit of a surface change or maybe an aggressive layout on it, has allowed him to just be able to keep it in the pocket. And some of the shots that he's even tugged, that ball's just sat perfectly into the pocket.
Yeah, we were talking with Neil Stremmel sometimes. You know, it seems like with the players that are coming here and scoring well, they're making that right ball change right away and not getting fooled. I mean, we look at Andrew Anderson, who was an IM pro. He loves that ball. It worked out that day. That's what's leading for now in PBA Exempt. You look at Weston Griffin. He used one ball majority of the time, switched to another ball when the lanes transitioned a little bit, but then finished up with that original bowling ball. Stephanie Zavala yesterday, one bowling ball for the entire block. So the people that seem to be in the right bowling ball, they find it in practice, and maybe came in with a game plan like Stipich has. Stipich may have watched all the live stream, a couple live streams before that with lefties like Justin Knowles or Graham Fa, and saw how they were playing the lane, watched the ball reaction, and went like, hey, I can't wheel it. I got to keep it straight through the fronts. And with an older lane surface here, even on the left side at Bolero Mount Prospect, I mean, there's so many centers across the country that have synthetic surfaces that are 20, 25 years old or older. There's going to be early friction, and in order to get a urethane ball through early friction, you need to amp up the speed. Otherwise, the friction is going to slow the ball down so much by the time it makes that little bit of a bend at the end of the pattern, there's no energy left in the pocket, and there's your flat 7s and your blower 10s and that type of thing.
It also has been looking like he, at certain pairs that he's come across, has been giving it a little bit of loft as well. So avoiding that burn that a lot of the pros have said they've experienced here, especially when the Illinois Classic was here 2 seasons ago. Mm-hmm. They said that the fronts like to burn a lot. So him lofting a little bit helps get the ball past that burn spot.
So you've bowled all 3 PBA LBC National Championships. This is the first one you've actually worked as well. No, you helped out a little bit last year as well. I'm sorry. But this is the first one you've been here for a lot of the weekends of the event, that type of thing. What's the one thing you come away with this year for, let's just say, Joe average bowler like me, Jane average bowler like you? Why players should come here regardless of age or ability to give it the shot at the PBA LBC National Championships, give it the shot for the 6 games.
You never know what's going to happen. Honestly, how we experienced yesterday, there were so many new leaders in a few different divisions, so many different pros. Yes, this is the PBA League Bowler Championships, but you have PWBA pros come in, and you may be able to cross with them. People today, you're crossing with Stippich, you're crossing with Sherman, O'Neill, the Sterners. Like, you never know who you're going to meet. It's such a wonderful experience, and from talking to different people, being able to talk to the pros is amazing. Yesterday, Miranda Patterson was talking to some of the people on the pair she bowled with, and the pair on next to her, they were asking for her advice on hand positioning, how to get a ball to turn more. Like, it's amazing. You come here and you'll leave more. Whether or not you're walking away with a check, whether or not you're walking away with the leader of a division, you're going to leave more than what you came into this tournament with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just the interaction that you could have on any squad. There's so many, not just PBA pros, as you mentioned. There's a lot of PBA regional players, the workhorses of the PBA, the gentlemen that bowl that only get a chance to bowl the weekend events. But they come here and they share their advice too, and you get to watch them bowl. And yeah, not everybody's lucky enough to get a Hayden Stippich on their pair where you go, thank God the PBA Exempt guys have their own division as what's happening today. But it's a phenomenal interaction, and the lane pattern gives anybody a chance to score. We've seen how many different angles that these players have used, not regardless of age and ability, where they're able to get the ball into the pocket, and then you got to figure out how to get all 10 down once you get there. It's you're not coming in blind. You know what the pattern's going to be. You know what equipment you can bring. You listen to Norm Duke tips and how to practice before you get here, how to practice when you get here. It's just an event that's not equal, and I'm going to pat you and myself on the back right here. But, how many tournaments out there, national tournaments, give you coverage of every frame of every game for every bowler on every squad to either use the information for yourself or, hey, like everybody in the chat's doing today, watch your friends, watch some family members bowl, watch a Hayden Stippich take over the lead. It's an incredible event, and I can't wait for the 2026 announcement. That should be coming out in the next couple of weeks. The who, what, when, where, whys. The who should be you should be here. The when, I'm sure it'll be June and July again next year, maybe even a little earlier start in May, who knows. The where, and yeah, we don't know that yet. We'll find out. So
definitely, though, this is an event I think everyone should bowl at least once.
Yeah, and that's there's your why right there. You have to experience, you have to feel what it's like. Even if you're not a PBA Tour caliber bowler, you get the feel of what these guys go through on tour week in and week out with your experience here at the PBA LBC National Championships.
And to my knowledge, this shot was used during the All-Star event at Foxview.
Right.
So you're even getting more of an experience on what the pros bowl on.
Yeah.
This is a similar shot to what they have bowled on, and it's still very playable.
Right.
Like, a lot of people come in and they get the misconception that, it's just a house shot. No, we're giving you something similar, but it is playable. Anyone can bowl on it. We've had people in the handicap division have their best set on these.
Right.
Like, anyone can figure it out.
Yeah. Young lady yesterday shot 699. She's never been close past 650 before, and put 699 on the board for her first 3 games. Every dog can get their day. Some of the dogs find it here at the LBC National Championships. And if you're going to have a dog, there's some great hot dog places in Chicago. No doubt about it.
I'm still impartial to Portillo's.
Yeah, I can get Portillo's in Milwaukee too, but there's a couple places in Milwaukee that actually make a pretty darn good Chicago dog. So that's better than Portillo's. But again, we could fight about that all day. You could also fight about the best Italian beef.
True. You could fight about a lot of food from Chicago.
Exactly. So waiting for Stippich. Try to get the 4th one in a row.
Is he at 1,300 on the dot?
1,300 on the dot. Just
Dang.
needs 219 to get past Andrew Anderson. So if somebody has Andrew Anderson's phone number right now, you might want to text him not to spend that $5,000 check. It may be cut in half or more here by Stippich, and doesn't like the feel of that one getting in the hand. And I'm sure, he's an accomplished collegiate player, took down the tour trials last year in the Chicagoland area. Didn't have a great 2025 on the PBA Tour, let's be honest. And now you have a chance to stamp your name at the top of a PBA exempt division event. Sure, it's not the full-blown tour. It's not going to count as a tour title, but guess what? You got bragging rights, and you're in the clash as the PBA exempt representative. And yikes, okay, we're not out of the clear yet. Everybody's got to make this interesting for us in Game 6. We had that yesterday with Stephanie Zavala, where she got a little rough patch early in Game 6 and then righted the ship and took the lead from Liz Johnson. And now it's going to be the same thing here for Stipich, as he's looking at needing a couple of doubles the last 5 frames. Without a conversion here, and even with a conversion, he's going to need to put a 2 or 3 bagger on the board. So, as we said, if Andrew Anderson's watching, don't cash the $5,000 check yet, as he does the smart thing, takes 1. So 95 in the 5th. So, hey, Rogue, thanks for joining us. I know we're going to get you shooting a couple more pieces of video that if everybody's enjoyed the video highlights that make their way out there. She's helped us with interviews. She's helped us with clips on 300 games. So if the chat can give a rousing round of applause to Rogue, it's appreciated. I'm going to give my own little golf clap here. She's done a great job, and we hope to have her back again in 2026 and other 10 on the Deck productions throughout the upcoming year. Thanks, Rogue. Appreciate you. Now back to work. And that's, one of the reasons I'm going to be very outspoken about this, why we brought Rogue on board, is I don't think there's enough voices of women in the sport of bowling. And Rogue's got knowledge from managing a pro shop to working in bowling centers to being around the sport with enthusiasm, as she's only been really into the sport for 5 or 6 years now, and she's doing everything she can to absorb this like a sponge. And a great toss there on the bounce back for Stipich. So once again, he needs to get to 219. So he needs a double. He needs a 3-bagger in there or a couple of doubles. And he needs to keep the score sheet clean. And so that right lane, lane 22, has been the bugaboo. He had the pocket 710. Well, not quite. I mean, real pocket 710. It was a little high. In frame 1, disregard the 9 miss for that one, because that was a 710 split. Then the 6-8. So at least the mistakes have been in a similar fashion. The mistakes have been high. We'll see what adjustment he makes when he steps up there in the 8th frame. And Stipich, or pardon me, 7th frame will step up there. So at least Stipich gets the 10th frame on the left lane, where he has had nothing but strikes to this point. Shot here is huge for Stipich, because otherwise he's going to be looking at having the strike in the 8th, 9th, and 10th. Take over the lead. And up on the toes again, 6-pin high. And there's a lot of sweating going on between two people in the world right now. One of them's on the lanes. One of them might be at home or on a golf course in Michigan. With this battle for the top of the PBA exempt division between Hayden Stipich and Andrew Anderson. Anderson in the house for a couple of weeks now with his 15-18 total. Stipich is going to have to go strike in the 8th, strike in the 9th, strike in the 10th, and strike in the 11th. If my count is right, 135 gets to 225. He's got a punch. Life just got real interesting here at Bolero Mount Prospect. And for the man that was in cruise control for 5 games, low game on the day for Stipich was game 4, 237. That's a game that has bit other players in the past. Actually, Andrew Anderson at 200 in game 4 of his 15-18 total. What? So here it is. We told you the story. Stipich doesn't strike here. It's done. As he can only get to 215, or it'll actually be 214, assuming a 9 count. Or no, I'm sorry, that'd be 224. He would have room. 134, 154. No, that'd be only 214. So he had to get that one, yep. Bowling math can be hard when you're trying to juggle 3 different things at once. I apologize for that, but yeah. Yeah, so he's got to go yard. First 2 in the 10th. And a 4 count. Strike in the 9th, double in the 10th, 4 count. Stipich is your PBA Exempt Division winner. No need to verify any averages for the PBA players. Weston Griffin, Open Classic Division champion. Stephanie Zavala, Women's Classic Division champion. Chris Barnes, Senior Classic Division champion. And all 4 of our handicap divisions, men's, women's, boys junior, girls junior, all will need average verifications complete before we will crown them officially as champions of their divisions. Hope everybody's got their popcorn ready for these last 2 frames for Stipich. It's not very often it comes down to the final 2 frames of a final squad of a tournament for a champion to be determined, but we have that right now here at Bolero Mount Prospect. And Stipich is going to be stepping up on that right lane. That's been giving him problems. He's only struck once in 4 shots on lane 22. And it's a must strike to keep the championship hope alive here. For Hayden Stipich. So you're saying there's a chance? Yes! Messenger comes across. And 24 pins needed in the 10th frame by Hayden Stipich to become the PBA Exempt Division champion. Everybody got their popcorn ready? Nothing better than 10th frame, last game drama in a bowling tournament. Nothing better than that at a PBA tournament. And it's extremely phenomenal when it happens here at the PBA LBC National Championships. It's a very simple equation right now for Hayden Stipich. Striking the 11th, striking the 12th, 4 pins or more, or striking the 10th, striking the 11th, 4 pins or more on the 12th. You're the PBA Exempt Division champion here, and you get your shot at the Duke Trophy sometime soon, and the accompanying big check that goes with that Duke Trophy. In that always exciting LBC National Championships clash. That single ball elimination format. You never know when somebody's going to hit the sidelines. Heck, Liz Johnson last year, who would have expected her to have been out in round 2? Who would have expected to be in a roll-off with Boog Kroll in that round 2 after they both had 5 counts? We know what Stipich needs. I'm pretty sure that Stipich knows what Stipich needs, but Stipich is probably telling himself he needs all 3. But you can't get the 3rd one in the 10th without getting at least the 1st one. You definitely have to get the 2nd one. On target line, 10 flush back for Hayden Stipich. The striking 4 pins. We're going to let the lanes do the talking for me right now, and you'll be able to tell by the reaction of Stipich as well. Needs some help to get back. Comes up light. Oh, my. If you would have told me coming into this game that Hayden Stipich wouldn't walk out our PBA Exempt Division champion, I would have laughed at you. I would have said the way that young man's rolled the ball all day long. He would have gotten to that 219 score. Instead, puts up 214 and falls 4 pins short of Andrew Anderson's 15-18 total, 5 pins short of taking over the PBA Exempt Division top spot. Unbelievable finish here at the PBA LBC National Championships. This is going to end the broadcasting day for our main feed. This is going to end our broadcasting year from Bolero Mount Prospect. Thanks everybody who's watched the past 7 weekends. And do yourself a favor. If you can still shoe it up, make your plans to attend the 2025 PBA LBC National Championships in person. Once that event location is announced, get some dates on your calendar and plan on making it to the 2026 PBA LBC National Championships. I am $2 Phil Brilo. Parents, take the kids bowling because you know what? They're going to have fun for life. And, hey, bring them here next year. Have them bowl in the boys or girls handicap division of the PBA LBC National Championships. Thanks, everyone, for watching. See you in 2026.